Hello everyone and welcome back. So now we will discuss computing aggregate statistics. As you may have seen in the last section, it is easy to get some summary statistics by using describe. Let's take a look at how we can find those values directly. First, let's create some data. Now we will create a data set for statistics. Now let's move on to import pandas as PD. Now names will be Bob, Jessica, Mary, John and Mel. Bob, Jessica, Mary, John and Mel. Now grades will be 76 in the square bracket, 76, 95, 77, 78 and 99. Okay, so now let's move on to the grade list, which is equals to zip in the bracket names grades df is equals to pd dot data frame data is equals to grade list columns is equals to names grades. Now df. Once that is set up, we can look at some statistics. Okay, now we have computed our data set. Now let's move on to that. Okay, computing aggregate statistics. Now df grades, we will use count function. Okay, now let me copy this down. Okay, so now let's run that. We got 5. Now let's run mean function. We got 85. Now let's run standard deviation function. We got 11.06797. Okay, so now let's move on to minimum. Now let's move on to maximum. Now let's move on to quantile 25%. Now let's move on to quantile 50%. Now let's move on to quantile 75%. Okay, so we are done with this. Now it is important to note that the mean is not the only measure of central tendency. Now let's move on to other measures of central tendency. Now we will write a function which computes the arithmetic average of a column. Mean is equals to dividing the sum by the number of values. Now let's move on to that. Okay, mean, we got 85. Now finds the median of the values in a column. Now median, the middle value if they are sorted in order is called a median. Now let's move on to that. We'll have a median which is 78. Now finds the mode of the values in a column. Mode is equals to the most common single value. Now let's move on to the mode function. Okay, and if you need to compute standard deviation, you might also need variance. So in the next lecture, we will compute variance and standard deviation.